Casual Magic has been brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can get cool stuff. Use the code CASUAL for 5% off your order. We're also sponsored by Quiver Time, makers of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine card-holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their site for 10% off your purchase. And by Architect, a deck hosting website that doesn't sell anything, but they like me and I like them, so kindly use them for all your deck list needs. Now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Whoops.
oh God, you should keep that in.
Oh, I'm going to.
Okay,
good. Whoops.
What show is this?
What show is this? Yeah. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of magic together. Wow. My name is Shivam and Casual Magic is brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., Architect, and Quiver. Today, I forgot what show I'm taping, so I decided to keep going, and I brought on my dear friend and co-host of my other show, Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, on to talk about Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic and just magic that we love. This is my dear friend Ben Wheeler. Say hello, Wheeler.
Oh, thank you for having me, Shivam. It's great to be back after... I haven't been banned from this show. It's more just... banned's a strong word. I see your reaction.
We did a spin-off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if Frasier started halfway through Cheers.
Yeah, or like, you know... I guess they don't really do spin-offs anymore. They used to do like spin-offs all the time, but like it was a backwards pilot, you know, like to spin off to make our own superhero show. Basically, what we realized is that every time Wheeler came on, because he used to come on quite often, we would sit and talk about a random amalgamation of cards, and people loved it. And it was great. And then one day we were like, hey, you know, what if we just did this? Like, what if we just went and spun it off and taped a thing? And we just said, hey, let's talk about cards we like. And it ended up being awesome. So I brought Wheeler back today so that we could talk about the other show. It's great. Also my show, so I don't mind cross-promoting myself. And actually, Wheeler just recently got a chance to teach me how to play Canadian Highlander.
You are all sorts of...
I am wibbled today. I don't know what happened. Oh, man. Blah. Okay, we're going to let EK have a lot of fun with this episode. So, Wheeler, how are you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Just off of an undisclosed amount of time in an undisclosed location, doing undisclosed things. I guess the location has been disclosed, but I won't say what I was doing in Portland.
Yeah, we were just happened to be randomly in the same place at the same time for no apparent reason.
Yeah,
it was a good time, was had by all. So I figured, since everybody knows who you are, actually, you know what's weird? I originally brought you on to talk about Canadian Highlander, and we didn't. We talked about it for 10 seconds and then just moved on to talking about cards or something. And also the other format you created, Gladiator, which is basically Arena's version of Singleton.
It's Canlander on Arena.
Yeah, without
the best of its ability. Yeah,
basically. And it's like, I don't know many other people who have... I know a lot of people who have created their own random formats. I don't know many people whose formats have taken off to ridiculous heights, aside from, say, Commander. It might actually... I mean, honestly, I think Canlander might be like one of the more successful fan-made formats next to Commander, if not the most successful.
Yes, I'm okay mentioning that. I'm okay confirming this. I mean, Gladiator too, like both of them are... I'm still kind of amazed that it has gone to that. This is obviously excluding stuff like Commander or maybe, I don't know, Pauper, I guess. Maybe.
Oh yeah, Pauper. Pauper is of course a fan format.
But like Pauper and Commander, they've ascended to Olympus.
Yeah,
you know? they're effectively a part of the pantheon.
Yeah.
Oathbreaker too, for what it's worth.
Yeah, Oathbreaker definitely got like the official nod. I'm not necessarily sure how, but I welcome it. I support them because the Oathbreaker folks are really, really nice. And it's cool to just have like a you know, the more fan formats there are, the better off we all are, I think. I think it's more fun to have more ways to play Magic.
Yeah, especially when I think there is going to be there is something of a format fatigue for a lot of people if they just
Mhm,
have so many ideas and they're pulled thin so much. Um, and a part of that comes from people trying to make really not. I'm not here to say like this is why these formats aren't doing as well or why they haven't branched off as much, but like some of them try to get a little too cute, and
mm.
I'm saying this while also acknowledging that we have a points list for Canlander that is not the most elegant thing
It
in the world and
it's a
is
little
only
cute.
there because it's like we only use the points list because the promise of the format is that you can play everything.
Mhm,
But also, if you let someone play Black Lotus and Ancestral Recall, it gets a little too out of hand. But
yeah.
like, yeah, a lot of them are pretty simple. It's just like you just need one other person, you just have your deck, and you get to fight, and that's great. I like multiplayer Magic quite a bit. If it wasn't evident by the fact that our other podcast is about Commander and that I'm on the Commander advisory group,
Right?
but yeah, 1v1 Magic, like 1v1 casual, like casual competitive is the word I like to use because
Mm,
ultimately a lot of the people playing in those playing Gladiator or Canlander are trying to like go for each other's throats,
right.
but in the same way as like beer league soccer,
Yeah.
where it's like we're trying to win, but also we're just trying to have a good time.
Right. It's like I
Yeah.
think the way it's like you don't see a lot of people playing casual modern anymore, but it used to be the case that you could go to an F&M and sit down and just say like we're going to play modern and somebody brings out their, like you know, what the heck is that 1/1 mirror for 0? Uh
The 1/1 mirror, you mean Memnite?
yeah, like somebody would be like I made a pet Memnite deck and you'd be like all right, cool. Well, I'm going to bring out my like, weird take on Tempered Steel or something, and then you could have just fun, casual 60 card Magic, right? One on one competitive play. And we don't really have like one on one has just like all the generic WotC formats feel like
Uh-huh.
they're just so geared towards winning and competition that they've kind of lost sight of the kitchen table vibe of just beating each other up. And so it's fun to see other one on one like formats come out. And like to me, like, okay, so Canadian Highlander, for the folks who don't understand, it's a 100 card singleton format with a points list where you've got like 10 points of them, something to choose from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give my spiel?
Go.
Because I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
100 card singleton, 1v1, 20 life, no commanders, no sideboards, and the only companions are the ones you include in your deck and the friends you make along the way. Uh, there's no banned list for Canadian Highlander. However, instead, there is a points list where every deck has up to 10 available points
hmm
and can include cards from the points list, which is effectively like a restricted list in Vintage, up
Yeah.
to 10. Not every card has a point denomination, and cards will have different cards on the points list will have different point denominations.
Sure.
So, for instance, Black Lotus, pretty
7
powerful
points.
magic card, 7 points out of 10. Mana Vault, still a pretty powerful magic card, but not as powerful as other things. Currently, 1 point. So there's going to be a difference
Mm.
between those.
Yeah,
Um,
the one that surprised me was seeing crop rotation because I know that crop rotation is a strong card, but it
mhm.
didn't occur to me that it was so strong that you need to like actively restrict it.
So this is the thing about Canlander too, is that because you have access to everything, you get a lot of cards that seem like they'd be fine because your player experience with it is like, oh, crop rotation setting up Dark Depths combo with Thespian Stage or getting Gaia's Cradle, which don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, both powerful plays, but we can find Strip Mine and Tolarian Academy, which is a whole nother level of like degeneracy,
Yeah, that's
right?
I think that's exactly the thing is like Canlander allows you to do things that even Vintage would give you a stern talking to if you tried. And yeah, you can get away with some dumb stuff. And because it's a 100 card singleton and you've got like, all your tutors and your tinkers and your Clarion Academies and stuff, you these things can get real out of hand really quickly. Um but yeah, I don't know. like I thought it was neat, like the fact that you guys can use all the random promo and weirdo and collector's edition cards that have come out.
Mhm.
Um, because it's still a casual format and it's unsanctioned, and who cares?
I,
And
I should I should be very, very clear in saying this though, is that um, we're a pretty laid back format, and ultimately all of this is up to the discretion of the TOs and whatnot. Um, but so you will find people that play with collector's edition, international edition, proxies. We're a proxy friendly format,
hmm,
but those aren't rules of the format. So like there
yes,
is sanctioned Canlander, but
ah,
it's effectively played as sanctioned vintage.
sure,
Yeah. That's it. That's just a minor thing because I don't every so often I get people being like, yeah, and legally you can use proxies. It's like, where'd you find that information? That's not
it's
true.
okay. It's not legal, but it's like custom. It's like
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to. Here's the thing: nobody's going to care.
yeah,
Canlander is one of the most, if not the most, proxy-friendly format that I've ever played. More so than Commander, probably because you don't have three potential people to poo-poo on you using
fair.
a card. Which genuinely is because somebody proxying a card in Canlander, you won't get that really flimsy argument of like, oh, this makes your deck more powerful. It's like, yeah, of course it does. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, like
Um,
that's the thing. The Rule Zero and Canlanders were both here to try to kick each other's face in.
yeah, it's
So
great.
it's yeah. So there's not like there are less chance for hurt feelings the way that like because like if you start proxying broken stuff in Commander, then your friends don't want to play with you anymore because it's like, man, this is just well outside of our band of play.
Yeah,
Canlander, everybody's got the same rules of just like, look, we're trying to go to the top we can. Go ahead and do your best with the things we have available. The
you
points
you
list is going to keep
start
you in check.
you start proxying Black Lotus and Canlander, and players are going to be like, "Thank God I don't have enough reps against Storm or Eggs. I needed somebody to test with." Right? That's the general attitude, because the number one thing a Canlander player wants is an opponent. And
Fair.
so anything that can help people, because we recognize that not everybody is going to own Power Nine, not everybody is going to own dual lands, right? Not
Mm.
even everybody's going to own cards that are a bit pricier from Modern. It's funny, it's a format where you'll find people that will have duals in Power Nine, but they can't play that often. They'll be like, this Renin 6 card is so expensive and hard to find. And so they'll proxy that, or you'll get new players that have all the cards because they come from playing Modern, or it's just stuff that you can buy at an LGS that then proxy the duels and work their way up to it. It's great. Everybody,
Mhm.
it lets people play the format, which I think is pretty important to fostering something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing, like, Canlander's just got this real interesting vibe to it because it's tonally very different from a lot of the Magic that I play normally.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's weird because people always look at me like, "Oh, man, Shivam, you like to play super softy, fun time, hug deck, like, huggy, chill out, EDH," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, but when I'm playing a one-on-one format, I want to crush your face." Like, I
The people don't know what kind of stone cold killer you are when it comes to like what brings you joy in 1v1 formats. And honestly, you can see it in your interests in Commander. Like it doesn't, like you said, you got a lot of pet cards that help kind of tone that down, so it doesn't come through that, as strongly. But like, listener, when you get Shivam playing something like Canlander, or even like
Just
standard or
limited or whatever.
cube, yeah, it's
Oh god.
just,
Yeah,
this
don't look
man's
at
good
me.
for blood.
You, I'm here to bathe in your blood is what I'm here to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, it's just it's funny though, like, I mean, I wanna play big dumb things and crush you, but in a multiplayer format, I wanna make sure everybody leaves the table feeling good about themselves, so that changes the
Mhm.
tone. However, if we're sitting down and we're just, like, killing time and we're like, "Hey, let's jam some one-on-one." Oh, yeah, I'm gonna just run you over, though I'm gonna be like, Abigail in Street Fighter 5 or where I'm just, like, stomping you and not even
Vroom,
stopping,
vroom.
right?
Oh.
Oh my god, yeah, but, like, so you brought the you know what's funny? You didn't
Mhm.
tell me this until this weekend when we're hanging out, that, like, the first time I ever ran into Canlander was at PAX 2016 because there was a table run by some charity or something, and I was like, "I've heard about Canlander from, like, Loading Ready Run. I'll go sit down and try to play." And there were 2 dudes at that table I was like, "I don't know what Canlander is. Can I borrow one of your decks?" And I did, and then I had to go to a thing, so I couldn't stay for the whole thing because there was a Wizards panel. But I tried, and I was, like, getting smashed around. But you were one of the guys who taught me how to play Canlander in 2016?
Yeah, this is something that I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm a big dumb sicko, but there's something I like about withholding information that isn't negative, but withholding that little gem to just drop it at the right spot to be like, oh, by the way, that was me. It was the PAX 2015, the Planeswalkers for Diversity booth I was helping out with when they showed off Kaladesh,
Yes, so
PAX West.
20 yeah, whatever year that was, 20 I think it was
20
2016
it was PAX 2016, but in
in Seattle.
2015. Yeah, it was in Seattle.
Whatever
Um,
it was, it doesn't matter.
too long ago is
Yes, it
what
was
it was. Um, yeah, and I remember I have very vivid memories of you talking
it's
about
September 1st,
your
2016.
September 1st, 2016. Okay. Um, I remember you talking about your soldier deck, your Tajik deck, and
Yeah,
your custom soldier tokens you had.
yes.
Yeah, and I think you may have even played Hoof against
I got to play a big green deck. Somebody gave me a big green deck.
that was Hoof. Yeah, you were playing a Hoof deck, but the old school cradle Hoof, as we call it, named for Gaia's Cradle and Crater Hoof Behemoth. You
2
can probably
cards
figure
I
out
love.
you can probably figure out the rest of what that deck's trying to do.
Look, it's not hard, okay?
Nope.
I'm a very simple man, and I have very simple tastes. I just wanna put a bunch of mana on the table and then run you over with it.
You're telling me when we played in the airport, this is going to become one of my favorite stories.
Oh my god, it
I
was so good.
Because Shiva and I have played some Canlander over this past weekend, for where we were for undisclosed reasons, and I hope you don't mind me saying, but you were taking a bit of a beating at
Oh,
times.
I lost almost every game I'd played.
But that's going to happen with a format like Canlander, where familiarity is so important, and especially because the 2 decks that we had were Jeskai Control, near and dear to my heart, Lightning Bolt, Swords to Plowshares, Brainstorm, Ancestral Recall, you name it, and then Cradle Hoof. And I remember sitting down for like game 3 of a set where I look at my hand after kind of just trouncing you in the past one, and it's like mental misstep, flame slash.
Actually, the last one we'd gotten kind of close, but then you took it away. You kind of
Oh, right,
went
right, right.
crazy.
Okay.
It had gotten close, and then you were just like, "Oh, what if I just fury your table?" And I was like,
Oh yeah,
"Right,
right. I furied
right.
your
What if you
entire
just
board.
kill all of my monodorks?"
Right.
Sure, go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. That's good.
I hate that card.
But my hand was like mental misstep, a counter spell, and then 2 pieces of burn. And I apologized to you. I was like, sorry, dude, this hand's extremely mean. And then she even goes on the play, Taiga,
Okay, no,
Mana
here's the thing though.
Crypt.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Like, first off, I mulled to 6, and I
Yeah.
was trying to think, what card do I put on bottom? And I go to you, I'm like, should I keep Cradle in my opening hand if I've got, like, how many creatures would you keep Cradle with? And you're like, of course you keep Cradle in your hand. I'm like, okay, good. Then I bottomed to Forest instead.
Yeah. And it paid off.
Oh, yeah.
Taiga plus Mana Crypt into turn 1 Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Card that I'm trying out in the deck, and I think I'm going to keep. It's a pretty good magic card.
It turns out.
Turn 2 Questing Beast,
Mm-hmm.
which I had the Flame Slash for, but still kind of put me off it.
Mm-hmm.
Into you flip your Fable, play your Gaia's Cradle, and cast Woodland Bellower. For people that don't know what that card is, it's a 6-mana 6/5 that when it comes into play, you tutor your deck for any non-legendary green creature that costs 3 or less and put it into play.
Yeah.
So your 6/5 finds an Eternal Witness to bring back Questing Beast. And
Mhm.
then next turn, you have the options. You can do both, but you only need to do one, which was Natural Order for Creator of Behemoth.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty
It was
good.
so good. Oh my god, it was everything. It's like, if that's the one game I won the whole weekend, that was a game I wanted to win.
That was sick. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
it's so gross. Oh my god. I mean, like, the first game I played, I, like, sat there and I had, Thespian Sta I had, Crop Rotation and, Dark Depths in my opening hand, so I was able to go and get Thespian Stage into, Dark Depths, but then you had, like, the Plowshares or whatever, but it's not the point. The point is I was still able to just put out a 20/20, which is
mm-hmm,
rad. It was so
mm-hmm.
cool. Like, it felt really good. It was ability to play kind of Magic that I don't get to play very often, and I just really, really enjoyed it, and I was like, "Wow, I need to find more friends to can land with," because turns out I just wanna play big, dumb green things, and really, I don't know why I don't have a commander deck that lets me just do that. I should I should handle that. Maybe I'll just build Grun and just build big, dumb green idiots and just go to town.
Doesn't sound like that bad of an idea.
Yeah, actually, that sounds really fun. Or like
Yeah.
Kogla. Kogla would be a fun commander.
Ooh, Kogla's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got a Kogla commander deck, but it's humans. It's like
yeah, because of
Kogla humans.
Of course it is. Like, I love the fact that you're like one of the people who's like, "Yeah, I'm going to take a 5 color deck and then build like the off color or
Yeah.
something." Or like, here's like you're exactly the type of guy who would be like our friend George and take a monocolor commander, stick Prismatic Piper with it, and then build a mono other color that had nothing to do with the deck at all,
Mm-hmm.
commander.
And I have done that.
Oh,
The
I
the
mean, you've got your mono
Tormod.
Weiss Reese the Redeemed deck, you've got your
Well, that deck was built specifically to troll you because it was mono white. Because Reese the Redeemed was like your favorite commander
Oh, it's
for
one
a
of my
while,
favorite commander
or
cards. I
is,
don't know
yeah.
why I haven't played it yet, though.
I just remember building it, and you like to make tokens with it. I'm like,
I
oh,
do.
this will be cool. So I'll build mono white Reese the Redeemed, where the only card I play that can add green or that is green. Oh no, I played that. I played the hybrid enchantment that populates on your upkeep,
Yeah.
growing ranks or something. But I can only tap white mana for it. I play a Gaia's Cradle in there, but I have a stipulation that I can't use that Gaia's Cradle for anything except for effectively colorless mana. It's yeah. Not to talk about Commander on a show that we were talking about Canlander on or other things, but my favorite thing to do with Commander, like if I'm going to summarize what I like to do with Commander, is that I like looking at a card and acknowledging what what people get excited about on the card, and then looking for another word that I can build around, like Kogla has so much going for it, right? Comes into play, fights a thing. When it attacks, you can blow up their artifacts and enchantments, and then it can become indestructible. So there's a bunch of things you can do. But that last activated ability requires you to return a human. So why not just play a bunch of humans with ETBs? And my favorite thing to do in that deck is with Eternal Witness or Timeless Witness, both humans with pretty good ETBs to returning a card from your graveyard to your hand, and Berserk doubling your the creature's power, but because it's from beta, it's templated so it destroys the creature, and because Kogla is indestructible from its activated
Oh
ability,
god.
you can just Berserk over and over again.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh my god, dude. I love You know what? I need to get some copies of Berserk. That card is really cool. It's really like one of my favorite start in any game of Magic I've ever played in my life was
Mhm.
like hella early in my game in like 1990, let's say 1995, 1996 or something, where I'm like, Taiga, Mox Emerald, um,
Ooh.
no, not Taiga, it was like Badlands into Dark Ritual into Soul Ring to Juzumjin, and then next turn another Badlands and Mox Emerald, or like Taiga and Mox Emerald, and then I attack you with Juzumjin, I berserk it, and then I fork a berserk, hit you for 20. GG's.
Oh, that's just good magic.
That's just
It's
good
good old
clean
fat.
magic circa.
God.
unlimited.
Yeah, this is what we're missing. We're missing those golden days of
Of turn
um
2 kills with yeah,
yeah.
but the thing is it takes, like, 6 cards to do. So it's
Yeah.
not like it's not an easy setup turn 2 kill, and when you do it, the other player feels like they either think like, "Damn, that was really cool," or they go like, that's great, spell blast." And you're like, "Oh,
Oh, or
dang."
swords, just
Yeah,
swords to
right?
plowshares.
Swords?
I mean,
GG's.
that does have the two coolest cards in the game, Berserk and is it pronounced Juzam? I've been pronouncing it Juzam for like
I call it
20
Jism Jin.
years.
I mean,
Juzam
I
Jin.
don't know, I changed the way I say it, but it's like,
Mm.
you know, it's when I was a kid, we used to call it big jugs
Yes, yeah.
or
People, yeah,
juzzy.
Juzzy. But like Berserk and Juzam Jin to get like those two cards are already the
Oh,
two
coolest
cool cards in the game. I mean,
like,
if not,
it's weird. People are like, "What do you mean you want a 5/5 that hits you that dings you for 1 every turn?" I'm like, "You have no idea
yeah,
how long Juzam Jin has been on my, like, most wanted cards list." Like, even more than a Mox, I wanna own one of those just because it's, like, the card of my childhood.
that was when I was looking to because I have a complete set of Arabians, and when I was completing
Really?
that set, oh yeah, I have. I mean, you've seen my collection.
I haven't.
Well, it's right. I mean, if does your show include video? Because
Yes.
my office is very messy, but you can see 3 4 column boxes, 3 4 column boxes, 3 4 column
Sure,
boxes,
sure,
a couple
sure.
4 column boxes. Yeah, those are the cards, baby. Got to have one of everything. Call it the Canlander playset.
Fair.
But yeah, when I was collecting my set of Arabians, uh, that was the card I was most excited to pick up, even more so than like Library or Bazaar.
Mhm.
Uh, that and Serendib Afreet. Or sorry, Serendib
I
Jin.
have a Serendip Jin.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
love Serendib Jin. 5/6, dude.
it's
It's
a
a
Mahamodi for
5/6.
4.
How do you kill that? I mean, you could Serendib Afreet. That it's pretty big, but 4 toughness ain't what it used to be. Exalted Angel can kill that, but you know what can kill Exalted Angel? Serendib Jin.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, like, you have to sack a land during upkeep, and if you don't, if you control no land, you sack Serendib Jin, and also if you sack an island this way, it bolts you. But guess what? Who cares? Because I'm still
Yeah,
punching you in the face for 5.
yeah, they're dead. They're
They're
already
they're
dead.
already dead. It's so good. It's like, God, I love that card. I miss that card. I miss the Serendibs. I miss Jasmine Jin. I miss playing just. I miss a time when I could play Big Dumb Idiots in Magic and just get away with it. Like, not necessarily crawworm tier, but kind of crawworm tier. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to rampage.
Yeah,
That's why the Cradle Hoof deck was so fun to me, because it's like, here, play mid range Magic until you get to big range Magic, and I'm like, yes, yes, I
there
will.
there is something really appealing about just having a deck where you are getting ahead on mana quickly and then playing cards that have massive bodies for a very low cost. Like rotting like you can kind of do that with like Dark Ritual Rotting Regisaur on turn 1, right? Like that's a sick line,
Yes, exactly
but
like
that's
that.
like the only example of being able to do that. A lot of the stompy decks is kind of what they're uh, known as have kind of faded into being more about getting out either initiative cards or locking the opponent out of the game. And
Combo pieces or whatever.
yeah, it's and like that's fine and dandy. I'm not here, I'm not going to complain about that too much, but there is a certain charm about being like, okay, I've got 3 mana on turn 1 or turn 2. I'm going to play a Serendib Jin, or sorry, a Serendib Efreet, or I'm going to play like a Sea Drake, like one of those cards. Like just, I'm
Look,
going to
man,
get a Fallow Worm into play, like a 3 mana 4/4.
it's like folks were just like, I just want to play keyword big, right? Like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
play big undercosted things, things that are just like, they don't have a ton of, I mean, sure, maybe some evasive power, some trample, some flying, whatever. But just like, I don't need it to do a ton. I just need it to turn around and be like face fist and go like hammer and we're done. We're good times. I
It
love that.
it does feel like that's something that is just kind of absent from a lot of Magic now. Is that there aren't cards where like I'm not even looking for necessarily vanilla cards, but there aren't cards where their keyword is that they're large or their flavor is from like not enough Tarmogoyfs. You
Yeah.
know, I guess maybe because it's just like a numbers game, then it's really easy to find the best one of the bunch. And it's not the most glamorous design space to dip into. Also, their downsides. You can't put downsides on cards anymore, dude. They tried
Seriously.
that. They tried that with that Archfiend of the Dross card from
You
one.
lose the game.
Yeah, but instead of it just built a Splinter Twin deck where you play this and make your opponent's creature into one of these. Like,
Whoops. Yeah, but it's just
yeah,
I don't know. Like that's one of the appeals of Commander or of like Canlander to me is that I can still play effectively games where I've got a big pile of things that I turn sideways, and
yeah,
I'm like, look, this is the kind of Magic I enjoy. It's just big fisticuffs, right? Like just come in, hit you. Like I love me a combo. I love me a
yeah.
combo. I'm not going to say I don't, but I really love just turning big things sideways.
I mean,
And
so you can finish the thought.
no, I was
Finish
just
the
thinking about worms. That's all.
Well, it's just I do think that that is a play pattern that still exists in some form in Canlander, but mostly as a product of like metagaming or knowing what kind of answers your opponents are going to have, and that
Right.
you can often just beat that with size at times where like you have to that's actually a thing that the Cradle Hoof deck does is that it acknowledges that like look, I'm going to get killed by fork bolts or somebody's going to cast fury or pyrokinesis,
Fury.
and
God,
so I need
any card
to
with pyro in it is like number one on my enemies list.
yeah,
Like
because it just
pyroclasm, pyrocin, all these cards just ruinate every deck I play. And I'm like, guys, just damn it. Makes me so mad.
And so those decks, like the decks, Hoof acknowledges that those kind of pieces of removal are popular. They're all over the place, and so that the way to kind of beat that is to just play something that is big or a planeswalker, you know. And so that's why for every game that you're natural ordering out a Primeval Titan or a Crater Hoof Behemoth, that deck is also just playing like a Garrick ahead of the curve
Mhm.
or Minsk and Boo Timeless Heroes on turn 2 or turn 3 Questing Beast. You know, these cards aren't necessarily the same as Serendib Efreet and Juzam Jin, but they are looking to apply the same principles
They're
as
in the
like
same family. Like they're descended from the same line, right?
yeah.
Like Serendib Freet's whole point, the 3/4 flyer that pings you for 3, the whole point of that deck is it starts coming down and pressuring your life total. And
Mhm.
just like, yeah, it'll ding you a little bit, but you can just start hammering people with it and it just feels good. And similarly, Boo comes down and yes, Boo generates a crap ton of card advantage, a crap ton of like
Yeah.
damage. Okay. But also, what's the point? His point is to come down early and just start pressuring your life total. At the end of if you boil it down to the bare basics, they're in the same general scheme of idea, right? Um, which is
Big number in front of you. Me hit
yeah,
you hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That's the look. I come from an era where RPGs used to have life bars above things, and you would hit them and watch the number go down and watch your damage number go up. And I'm like, that's what I want in Magic. I want to
Mhm.
hit you, and I want to watch the number go down. It's
Yeah.
like good, clean fun. I think that's why I find Mill so offensive. I'm like, Mill is not making number go down. It's just you're like stopping me from doing thing, and then just taking all my cards away. I'm like, I want to make number go down.
But you are making number go down.
Yeah, but that number is the number of things I can do and or my deck, and I'm like, less fun.
That's true. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, so let's talk about let's talk about the show. I guess we can segue right into that. Effectively, what we realize is that when me and Wheeler get together and we're just even talking amongst ourselves, we would just end up talking about, hey man, you remember that card from then that does the thing? And we're like, oh hell yeah, I remember that card that does the thing, and I have a story about it because there's
Mhm.
always a story because we are talkers.
Yeah.
Um, and our original plan was just grab a card at random from EDH Rec and then talk about it for an hour,
I
which
think
was
it was yeah, I think didn't like we went through a couple of ideas that effectively involved hitting random
yeah,
in some way shape or form. Like random on a we first we thought about doing Scryfall Random the podcast,
which would actually still be fun.
which we kind of not. I mean, which we kind of co-opted for a tap concede like sub episodes, or we call them Scryfall Roulette. Basically, tap concede, another podcast I'm involved with over at Loading Ready Run. What we do, we sometimes when we don't have enough people in the office or like a good idea for like nothing's happening in the world of Magic, whatever, we have a filler episode, which is us sitting in a room, James on tech hitting random, and it just shows a random card and we just talk about that card until we don't want to talk about that card anymore. It's a fun thing to do, but not what we wanted to do for the show. And then it changed to hitting random on like EDH Rec to find a random commander to talk about, which is a good idea, but also the way I think I worded it in a pre-recorded bit for one of the episodes was that we figured that would let us just ramble about one topic for an hour. And instead we wanted to find something to give us a little more structure and then ramble about a topic for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because what we realized is that one of the weaknesses that Wheeler and I have is that we enjoy talking and then can just take a train to somewhere and then whoops, we have no idea where we are anymore. But so it's hilarious because we both have hardcore ADHD, and so Wheeler has taken it upon himself to actually write out like full on like outlines for what we should talk about for our episodes, which doesn't stop us from talking for like 2 hours or so, but it definitely at least keeps us from going for 4.
It doesn't, but one of the ways that I reel in my ADHD is through my autism and my desire to have stats in front of me. And so if you put enough stats in front of me, I'm just going to be like, oh my God, the numbers. Oh, Shivam, you won't believe what the 6th most played commander from Guild Pact is, like that will keep me in line. And it's not foolproof, right?
No, it certainly isn't. But we sure try.
A good enough job that even we kind of can finish an episode and go like, okay, we got there. We did it in an hour 30. Like we nailed it.
Also, for the pedants out there, the 6th most played commander in Guild Pack is the original Borborygmos, 120 decks.
Great.
I was first off, I'm like, are there even 6 legends in Guild Pack?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, never mind.
It was original Ravnica, so they had 1 per guild, but then where did they get? They had 2 for Orzhov, so we just kind of worked
Teysa and Ghost Council of Orzhov,
both of which are actually still very playable cards.
Yeah, they're great.
Given actually, when I look at these, here we go on tangent. When I look at these Guild Pack dudes, though, like all 6 of them are actually pretty great. Like Teysa, Orzhov, Scion, original Niv Mizzet, which is still popular and great. Ulash the Hate Seed, which was for a long time one of the classic commanders. Tibor and Lumia, which was literally the only way to play Izzet for like ever. Ghost Council of Orzhov, which is actually still good. And original Borborygmos, which has been replaced by new Borborygmos, but this had its moment. They're all legitimate.
Some of these, Tibor and Lumia has like, it's very unique in what it does, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a 4-mana 3/3. When you play a blue spell, target creature gains flying, and when you play a red spell, it deals 1 damage to each creature without flying.
Yeah, it's like an earthquake.
Yeah, you can get a little tricky with it. That's pretty cool. That's a unique, like, what other cards have that text on them?
Yeah, right? And the weird trick for that card though is that Tibor and Lumia themselves don't have flying. So it like when you're playing a red spell, you have to be careful how many of them you play without nugging these 2, which is why you kind of have to throw in a blue spell to make sure that they can fly. I don't know. I think
that's interesting.
That there's a deck there. I mean, there was for many years. There were many decks there, but yeah, I mean, all of those cards are great. And so, effectively, what we realized, and then Wheeler had an accident and sat and listened to a lot of other podcasts, and came back to me and said, "We need to change our show." And I was like, look, we need to tape our show, so whatever you want to do, I'm happy for.
Yeah, I'll come clean on this only because I have mentioned this to both Cedric and directly to Patrick Sullivan.
Oh, you told Ced?
I mean, I mentioned it like I didn't say like, hey, dude, we stole your show. But when he was here for the PPR, and I was like, I mean, I've been making content full time for almost, for 51 months. I can tell you I've been doing it for about that long. And I don't get overwhelmed by meeting, figures in the community or whatever. But seeing when Cedric was here for the PPR, and it's funny because I played him in like West Coast like PTQ events and like I played him at a SCG like Legacy Open back in the day and stuff. But just being like, hey, just wanted to let you know, the Resleevables is the best piece of Magic content, no question. Everything I make looks like crap compared to this. Like I'm a huge Resleevables fanboy. This was back when it was just the podcast, not
the original
show.
podcast version was so good.
Yeah, and I was like, huge fan of this. It like inspired me and Shivam to make like a Commander exclusive version of that. And then that developed to when I talked to Patrick, when you introduced Patrick to me at
Minnesota?
Was it Minneapolis? Yeah,
Minneapolis. Yes.
And I think you even said like, hey dude, we stole your show. And I was like, no, come on. But yeah,
we were heavily inspired by. But the thing is though, that original version that they had where they broke down a set, and like nowadays the new Resleevables are going kind of in alpha to forward order.
Yeah.
But when they started just like we're going to pick sets we like and we're going to break them down and talk about them and then talk about our cards and tell about stories and whatever. And Wheeler and I were like, this is the exact format that we're going to thrive in, because we can just pick a set, which gives us guidelines for where to go. We can break it down into like, let's talk about the commanders. Let's talk about the most popular cards. Let's talk about stories we have about these cards, our favorite cards, and then go down. Boom. And it turned out that formula was not only really, really fun to record and like kept us on track, and it gave us, if there's something about ADHD that we like, it's structure that is repeated and a pattern we can fall into. And so it worked out. And then people really liked it. And so we kept doing it, and it's been going great. Put out like 2 episodes a month, and we've somehow managed to land onto the cadence of put out an episode right before the flight to a big event, and it works really well.
Oh, it's great. It gives people, because these are, I mean,
we don't do short episodes.
How long is our Theros episode? Is it actually like 2, which is, I guess, released by the time that this comes out? But
yeah, Theros would have come out the 1st of July, and this will be like third week of July.
And the Theros episode is like 2 hours and 12 minutes or something.
Yeah, the Theros episode, I think it went to 2 hours. I don't know if I edited it down a bit, but it definitely was not. It went for a minute.
Yeah, this is, you can throw it on and just kind of rock it out,
Well, yeah, and like, I mean, our Kamigawa episode was like 4 hours long. We split it into 2 parts.
Well, I mean, that's
you decided you wanted to talk about every single one of those cards. It's like, okay, well, let's go. But yeah, that's the thing though. It's like we realize that people just like having good, hefty like episodes. They want to have things to listen to, especially for things like travel. And then it just is fun to talk about. It's just really fun.
People really like it's a thing that hasn't really popped up in Magic. I mean, part of it has, but like people really like YouTube essays about specific topics that go on for 2 to 4 hours. Like that, and that is, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but that's like the very long form on one specific subject. People love it. And there's not really that in the Magic sense. And so while this has less structure than, say, a meticulous video essay that somebody has worked on for months upon months upon months, I think it hits the same, it gets the same brain chemicals going. And that they, like, somebody could just like soak into the chair or like just, you know, set up in their airplane and kind of just go like, this is all I'm going to be thinking about for the next hour and a half or like 2 hours. And
Exactly
I'm
that.
going to, and I want to hear every little detail possible, you know?
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it's the sort of thing that people always say. It's like, make the content you would want to listen to. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what I want to listen to is two people who are deeply invested in something talk about the thing that they're invested in. That's one of my favorite things to do. Like, I love listening to like podcasts that are deep dives in, or like watching YouTube videos about deep dives into whatever this person's thing is.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that we do a very good job of. Oh yeah, the Theros episode is 205 door to door. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to cut a smidge of it for like our pre-roll.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it's just like, yeah, I mean, God, that I didn't know I had that much to say about Theros, but I sure did.
Oh, it's so funny. I've been giving Shivam crap about it, but in like a uh in like an
Loving way.
older brother teasing a younger brother, but you know, just being like, oh, man, he talked about Pelucranos for like 15 minutes, and it's just like it's just a 4 out of 5, but
Look, I love Pauly K, okay? Don't you
yeah,
dare.
yeah, I know. It's great. It's great. It's a fun episode, and I
It's
mean, I
like, look,
ran my mouth about
you made me
Kamigawa.
listen to you talk about freaking like, Go Shintai or whatever the hell, random
Mm-hmm.
38th legend in Saviors of Kamigawa. You can listen to me talk about
Look,
Pelucranos.
dude, I spent 6 hours trying to find out what the inspiration for Uba Mask is, and I'm going to relay it to someone.
Yeah, so it's what we realize is just like, if we're having fun, then people are gonna have fun. And like the other thing was that there is just so much Magic content that is just full of grumpy people being grumpy about this game that we play and dedicate all our time to. And Wheeler had this revolutionary thought. It's like, what if we did a podcast where we like the thing? And that event that actually just became the title, right? Shivam and Wheeler love Magic. It does what it says on the tin. There's
Yeah.
no like, you're not surprised. There's not like any weirdness here. We know what we're here for.
I think the name is the best part because it's
Oh yeah,
very like it's just like what else would we call it?
right. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot think of a better name for it than like it's like, it tells you what we're here for. It tells you what
Mm-hmm.
we're about. It tells you what you're gonna get, and it's fantastic. And with that title in mind, I was like, okay, well, I need to get art that feels like this title. So I got my friend Schmandrew, who I had on this show like 20, 30 episodes ago or whatever. And he's like this like pop artist who does like bright colors, purples and reds and yellows, and very whimsical and very like vibrant and like just exuberant. And I was like, what if, hey, I, would you mind doing a show logo for us? And he's like, sounds like a challenge. Let's go. And he ended up drawing me and Wheeler riding on the back of Kokusho. And it's just like the happiest Kokusho you've ever seen. His antennas form a little heart. There's like clouds all over it. And it's like the most adorable picture of like me and Wheeler we've ever gotten.
It's so great. I
It's
gotta
so
tell
good.
you, between that and our music, they really punch. They
Oh,
make
yeah.
us look like we're punching way above our weight.
Right?
Like,
Yeah, like I was like, okay, well, I need a theme song. So I just kind of put out a call, and then I also went and I pinged my friend Jonathan Young, who has been on the show now twice, and is like, the guy who did the Kamigawa and New Capenna soundtrack. And I'm like, hey, I'll pay you. Can you do like 15 seconds or 10 seconds or something of just like a jaunty little Saturday morning theme? And he got really busy with his life. Things were happening and he had to move, and it's like things happen and stuff. And I'm pinging him periodically, and he's like, okay, look, I don't necessarily have time to make you a bespoke song or like get my assistants or whatever to do it. Here is a leftover track from the Kamigawa soundtrack. It's this cool just beat. Here's like 2 chunks of it. Feel free, use it if you want. And I'm like, uh, yeah, well, yes, I
yeah,
think I will. Okay. And suddenly it's just this really rocking, super like lasers and 80s vibe and
very
everything.
synth.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's so perfect. And then I remember I showed Wheeler like, the picture, and I showed him the song, and I'm like, our episodes are going to be such a letdown after this.
Yeah, I mean, to imagine seeing that artwork and being like, "Oh, wow, this is they got Schmandrew on this. Wow, okay." And then you hear that song, and you see like in the liner notes, it's like music by Jonathan Young, and you're like, oh my God, wow,
Mhm.
they must have gone all out. And then you get to the episode, it's like, what could you play in Kiki Jiki? It's just
It's basically it's like we say, it's like it's two dorks in the back of the LGS digging through bulk bin saying, "Man, do you remember when this 15 monocasting cost garbage was awesome?" And everybody's like,
Mhm.
"No, we don't." However,
I sure do.
I sure do.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that. And it's just like I look forward to recording it every time because it's just hella fun.
It's a
Um
blast.
yeah. And so that's why I brought Wheeler on today because I wanted to cross promote because it's good to share the two things. Because like this show is casual is like my baby. This is one of my favorite things to do every week. I love talking to people about Magic, but then also being able to do Shivam and Wheeler means I get to actually just go deep into like knee deep into the cards and just talk about random things, and it's the best. And so we decided we're going to do it block structure wise. We've just been going block by block. Thus far, we've talked about Innistrad original. We talked about Kamigawa original. We've talked about Theros. We've talked about the Urza Saga block.
Mhm.
Um,
I guess
did I miss one? I don't think I did.
has when is this airing? Would
This is gonna.
folks know what we have after Theros?
Nobody would know what we have after Theros before this. This is gonna air before the next block
Okay.
does.
I
I
mean,
think
we know that we're going to be recording cons. Like
eventually.
our page eventually our patrons voted for cons to be
Yeah.
there. I mean, that's going to be in like August or whatever,
Well, I
given the
mean, I'm
release
down.
schedule.
Cons is one of my favorite blocks,
Yeah,
but
I could talk about that for ages.
I mean, for God knows though, if you like go through these shows and take a shot every time one of us says this is our favorite thing, you'll be dead by the end of the episode.
That's a classic ADHD trope of
Oh yeah.
this is my favorite thing. It's one of the best. It's one of my favorite. Um,
But like that's what people are there to hear, right? Like nobody wants to sit and listen to us talk about things I mean, there are a few cards in there we do talk about that are just like, oh god, this card is like not my favorite thing in the world, gritted
yeah,
teeth. But you know what though? It's still fun. It's still fun. It's fun to talk about. Like Magic should be fun. This is like playing Canlander is fun, playing Commander is fun, playing sitting with your buddies and throwing a piece of cardboard on the table is fun. That's why we play board games, right?
I've always said it sometimes feels like you're in the minority as a creator when you actually love this game.
Right?
You know, like not to say that there are people out there, not to say that the people that make content that may end up being critical of the game or certainly of some decisions that are made towards the game. Like, I'm not saying that you can't be a creator and also dislike a draft format or like maybe Commander isn't your favorite thing to do in the world and you want to talk about how you wish there was less Commander geared cards put into mainline set releases. Like, that's fine, you can do that, but it's just there's a difference between doing that and being like, Magic's the worst thing in the world, I hate it, by the way, check out my stream where I'm going to be drafting the new set. And it's like, okay,
Oh,
like
jeez.
I understand that maybe some of you some people feel trapped in what they're doing, but
Come on,
come on,
man.
come on, you got to find joy in what you do.
It's seriously, it's just like this is fun. Everything we do
Mhm.
is I mean, we're doing this for fun. We're playing I hate that term kids game because that's not true. It's a game for everybody. It's an adult's game as much as it's a kid's game. What it
Mhm.
is a way we spend our time. And it's a way we get to hang out with our friends. It's a way we get to unwind and relax. And this is a thing we do for fun. Like when I mean, like it's weird because like all of my friends and stuff are all content creators or people who derive income or their livelihood from this game. And
Mhm.
yes, when you have to stream for like the 12th time in a row, yeah, okay, I can see it get draining. When you have to play the 58th draft in a format that you hate, sure, that sucks. It always sucks. Like it's never going to be fun. But at the end of the day, though, you got to remember, on the grand scheme of things, we're the luckiest people in the world because we get to do the thing that we love for fun, and we get to do it as a job, and it's hella fun.
Yeah, every large event or even like every guest appearance on something, it just kind of blows me away. Like, there's always again, like I said, 51 months into this, don't ask how I know that exactly, but every time one of these things pops up, I still am just like, wow, this is my job. Like you'll get it. Maybe I get whittled down after, the 10th person that is like your content literally like, it kept me distracted through like all the dark stuff going on in my life or whatever. And it's just like, I'm just a guy on the computer, and then it hits you where you're like, oh, actually this stuff helps people. It impacts their life. And on my end, it's me playing with cards. And that's great. That's cool and good. I'm glad of it.
Yeah.
And such other catchphrases. Like, yeah.
I mean, one of the things is just like when we launched the show and then we went to like Philly and people were coming up to us and being like, "Holy crap, this show is amazing and so much fun and I love it." And I was like, "Wow, you listened to it and you liked it? That's awesome." And like every other show I've been to, people have been like, "This is the most fun." Or I get DMs saying, "Please talk about this block." And I'm like, you got to remember that one dude who came up to you in Philly and was like, "I hope you talk about Kamigawa."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Yeah, oh, you're going to get more Kamigawa than you bargained for, bro." But yeah, it's just like, it's really just refreshing, and it doing these shows definitely just keeps me active and motivated in Magic to want to
Uh-huh.
keep doing more because like there's a lot of sets to cover. I'm really excited to do all these sets. And if we get our way, we might even get to do some live panels at some of these shows, and that'll be super fun.
Yep.
Because like talking about Magic cards in front of an audience is a blast. Like I got to do that in Minnesota, and that was super cool. And I would love to do that one again.
Yeah, I just like talking about Magic cards.
Turns out, turns out,
They're pretty neat. And
yeah,
there's a lot of unique, especially for older sets too. It's
mm-hmm.
just like, it's very, for nostalgia purposes, sure, but also just like looking at something that I had, looking at a set or release with the critical eye of, well, an adult instead of a baked teenager. It's just like able to appreciate some of the nuances in card design.
Some of the weirder like some of the cards that you would have totally completely misread as a kid, and you're just like, "Wait, that is way cooler than I remember it being."
Right. Yeah, exactly. Instead of just being like, oh, look, spike feeder looks like an apple with nipples. Like instead of that, you get to think about cards like
Jabari's
Mortuary.
influence.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about Jabari's influence from Mirage?
I
You know what
have
this
thought
is?
about Jabari's influence so much. So, if I may, every one of my streams, my home stream, I do enchant Worldle. That's my like routine. As I start off by playing enchant Worldle, which is the Magic version of Worldle, and
Wordle.
I called it enchant Wordle for so long before realizing it was Worldle,
World
and now I
Earl.
can't say Wordle. Anyways, it's the Magic version of Wordle. And I believe, as somebody that is undefeated in this, I've yet to lose. I've yet to muck myself for any card. I believe that I am the best enchant Worldle player in the world. Now, I haven't done a 1v1 with Carmen Handy yet. I believe she might be my only opposition to this. That would make a fun thing to do.
I feel like you, Carmen Handy, and LSV would be a really interesting like card off.
That would be a good showdown.
That would be a really fun live show at like a con.
And Jabari's Influence is a card because they randomly the card is randomly generated.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been one card where it's been a duplicate, and it's been that from when I've been playing. And it was Jabari's Influence. And I'll never forget the first time I got Jabari's Influence on like the fourth shot, just because I like the configuration of cards I had leading up to it made it so specific. But people are like, what the hell? There's no way he's going to get it. And I'm like, oh, it's Jabari's Influence. Has to be. Which for people that don't know is genuinely like a sleeper card in Commander. It's from Mirage. It's a 5 mana instant that you can only play it like
after combat.
After combat, yeah. You gain control of a non-artifact, non-black creature that attacked you this turn.
And you put a -1/-0 counter on it.
-1, -0. Yeah. So it's like permanent white control magic at instant speed.
It is literally so ridiculous, this card.
It's so cool. How are you not going to remember this if you see this card once and read it and process it? You are not going to forget this card.
It is so, like, the first time you get got by this thing, you feel insanely stupid and angry and so angry. Oh my god. But yeah, like, I feel like there's a really cool white control magic deck you could probably make between this and like Debt of Loyalty, and that would be just hilarious.
Evangelize is another one.
Or like, who the heck was that guy? Was that the Preacher? Yeah, Preacher lets you just control magic them.
Yeah, from the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, all these are like 1 billion years old because they realize white has no business control magicking people. But it's real funny though. God, I love Debt of Loyalty. Is just like regenerate target creature, gain control of them. Like, A, that's a flavor win. Like, I patched you up, so now you're on my side. B, it costs 3 mana, and that's ridiculous.
3 mana. And it's from Weatherlight, if I recall, at instant. And it's got Gerard on the art.
Yeah, and some dude.
And is it Stark?
Stark.
Yeah, Stark of Wrath. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I killed him because I had to, Stark lied to Gerard, but now I pledge my loyalty to you.
And is it Meraxus? Is Meraxus dead on the ground there? Dude, I gotta put it. I'm going off memory. Let me get this card.
There is definitely the Weatherlight is in the background, and there's a dead body, but I have no idea who that dead body is.
It kind of looks like Meraxus of Keld.
I will let you have that one because I don't remember the Weatherlight story very well. Because Weatherlight was right when I was about to check out of Magic, and I was definitely like, there are too many words on these cards. I don't care.
It is Meraxus of Keld.
Why not?
Ooh, Lord W for Wheeler. Lord W for Wheeler.
Oh my good gracious me. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, me and Wheeler, like a lot of you folks who were listening to Casual Magic originally told us, like, you and Wheeler need to just do a show. Until we did. And it worked out, and it's been going great. And that's why I wanted to bring it back on, just to share about how this has been going. So, yeah, man, thank you so much for joining me and for being my co-host on my other favorite hobby that we have. I love to have you, and it's great that you're here.
Thank you for having me. It was great to be here. And thank you for also being my co-host on Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic.
I can't believe I whiffed my own podcast intro.
You whiffed your pod? That was pretty funny. That was, I mean, tell you what, I'll call it even after the whiff I did on this past weekend.
Yeah.
Which if you're hearing that and you don't know what that means, it'll be very funny to you once you figure out what it means.
Yeah, you might not get it, but your kids will.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, my dude, if folks want to find you, where can they go?
So you can find me at bwheelermtg on Twitter, Benjamin_Wheeler on Twitch. Again, I'm a full-time streamer, so I stream there 5 times a week. And when I'm not streaming there, I am streaming on twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun. And then I guess LRRMTG for North 100 Showdown and more Canlander information. I got too many things to plug. This is my issue. We
need to find you a better plug solution.
I really do need one. And also, Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, a new podcast. Listen to it. And patreon.com/Shivam and Wheeler.
I was going to plug that too if you didn't, because I was prepared. You can always find me at Gearboard Gears. You can find the show anywhere podcasts are sold, or at Cool Stuff Inc. on Tuesdays, or at YouTube on Tuesdays. Thank you to my friend and editor, EK. And remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we will see you next time.